Welcome back to San Antonio Living. You know, the holidays are here and safety is key. Shawn C. Brown joins us this morning with tips on celebrating responsibly and the do's and don'ts if you are pulled over. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me. Happy holidays.
Hey, thank you. Merry Christmas to you. Let's start by talking about being responsible, right? Everybody's going to parties. We're doing what we do. Tip number one, don't drive.
That's right. I mean, have a plan before you go out.
Yeah.
Have an Uber waiting by, you know, have a friend that's going to take you. If you get to a party and maybe have one or two too many, then, you know, call an Uber.
Yep. Go back, get your car the next day.
That's
Safest
right.
thing to do, for sure. If you do get into a situation where you get pulled over for DWI, what do we do?
Sure. I mean, once they pull you over, let's say you get pulled over for a speeding infraction, they smell alcohol, you admit to drinking one drink or a glass of wine. At that point in time, the officers are usually going to act on the side of caution.
Okay.
They're going to pull you out of the car and they're going to ask you to start doing some field sobriety tests or something of that nature on the roadside.
Okay, so let's talk about that field sobriety test. Can I refuse that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You want to be respectful and polite of the officer the entire time because they're recording everything. And anything you do or don't do, they're going to try to critique and say you did this because you were intoxicated, right? So always be respectful and polite because that's just the way you want to be when you get pulled over in that situation. They get you out of the car. They're trying to build evidence against you at this point in time to determine whether or not you're intoxicated.
Okay.
When you get out of the car, they're going to look to see if you had to hold onto the door for support, if you're staggering as you walk to the back of the car, those types of things.
Okay.
And then they're going to ask you to do some very challenging tests on the roadside when cars are going by, light in your face, to determine whether or not they believe you're intoxicated or not intoxicated. But usually at that point in time, they've already made that decision. They're going to arrest you. Okay.
What about a breath test? Is that something that you can refuse as well? Do you recommend that?
Sure. So I don't trust it. I don't think it's reliable. There's just too many moving parts on it, and I just don't trust it.
Okay.
Right? So you have a right to refuse the field sobriety test. Be very respectful and polite. I'm just respectfully not going to do that.
Okay.
And then as well on the breath test, you have a right to refuse that as well.
Okay. At that point, they're going to most likely take you to jail, right?
Sure. So they're going to ask you, okay, please turn around. We're going to arrest you for suspicion of DWI. And then they're going to read you some warnings concerning your driver's license. And people believe, oh, if I refuse the breath test, my license is automatically going to be suspended, but that's not necessarily the case. Okay. It's the suspension time is what differentiates if you do a breath test and don't do a breath test.
Okay.
You have a right to refuse. A first-time DWI offender, if they refuse, can be suspended up to 180 days, and if they blow over the legal limit, up to 90 days.
Okay.
Now, you have a right to refuse, and if you do refuse or if you don't, you have 15 days to request a hearing in regards to your driver's license.
Okay.
So from the date of arrest, you need to get me hired so we can request that hearing to keep your license from being suspended.
Okay, and that's called a license hearing, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
And that's completely separate of the DWI. The license hearing is held in a separate court by a separate judge as opposed to the DWI. And if you win one, it doesn't mean you win the other, and vice versa. If you lose one, it doesn't mean you lose the other.
Absolutely. And of course, we want everyone to be safe during the holidays. That is the #1 thing. But we also want to protect your rights, right?
Absolutely.
So if you get into a situation where you do need a little help, you can contact the law office of Shawn C. Brown. Take a look at your screen there right here in San Antonio. Shawn is at 210-224-8200. The law office of Shawn Brown is on St. Mary Street, right downtown. You can go to ShawnBrownLaw.com for more details. Follow them on social media and jot down this number, 210-224-8200.